A Course in Miracles audio lessons. Lesson 183. I call upon God's name and on my own. Paragraph 1. God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon His name is but to call upon your own. A father gives his son his name and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name, and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your Father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world which does not know, even though you have not remembered it. Paragraph 2. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind which calls you to remember. Say His name, and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand, and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe, and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. And we have a footnote that reads, the image here is of angels acting as a mother bird does when she spreads out her wings to shelter her young. The Bible draws on this same image. In Matthew 23:37, Jesus says, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets and stoning those who are sent to you. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you would not." Psalm 91:4 says that God will cover you with His pinions, and under His wings you will find refuge. And several Psalms like Psalm 17:8, 36:7, 57:1 speak of us finding refuge in the shadow of thy wings. In the above image, the angels' wings are sheltering us not from external dangers, but from every worldly thought. End of footnote. Paragraph 3. Repeat God's name, and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. And we have a footnote that says, in Matthew 9:6, but that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Then saith he to the sick of the palsy, arise, take up thy bed, and go unto thine house. End of footnote. The blind can see and deaf can hear. And we have another footnote that brings us to Luke 7:22. And he answered them, go and tell John what you have seen and heard. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up. The poor have good news preached to them. In the above passage, these miracles are accomplished when you repeat the name of God. End of footnote. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. Paragraph 4. Repeat the name of God, and little names have lost their meaning. And we have a footnote that reads, the little names are the names of the things in the world that we value in place of God, and that tend to intrude on our thoughts during meditation. They feature prominently throughout the lesson, being called the names of all the gods you valued, as paragraph 4, line 3 says. The tiny nameless things on earth, as shown on paragraph 5, line 2. The names of idols cherished by the world, on paragraph 7, line 3. The thousand little names you gave your thoughts, paragraph 8, line 5, and the little things on earth, in paragraph 11, line 3. End of footnote. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat his name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you valued. They have lost the name of God you gave them. They become anonymous and valueless to you. Although before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. Paragraph 5. Repeat the name of God and call upon yourself whose name is his. Repeat his name, and all the tiny, nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the Holy Son of God. And should you join a brother as you sit with him in silence and repeat God's name along with him within your quiet minds, you have established there an altar which reaches to God himself and to his Son. Paragraph 6. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and still again. And we have a footnote that reads, no name for God is given here to use, implying that you can use a name of your choice as long as that name is in accordance with God as he defines himself, as lesson 67, paragraph 2, verse 8 says. The course employs many names for God. For example, lesson 67 uses holiness, kindness, helpfulness, and perfection as names for God. And lesson 282 says, Father, your name is love. And this is in lesson 282, paragraph 2, line 1. However, by far, the most common name used for addressing God directly is Father. End of footnote. I'll reread that. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and still again. Become oblivious to every name but his. Hear nothing else. Let all your thoughts become anchored on this. No other words we use except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once. And then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own. And we have a footnote that reads, as this sentence makes clear, we are not simply meant to repeat God's name rather than entertain other thoughts. We are meant to be completely absorbed in this repetition so that saying his name fills all of our awareness, becoming our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, etc. Along these same lines, paragraph 8 describes his name as the all-encompassing idea which holds your mind completely. End of footnote. Paragraph 7. Thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused, and God will come and answer it himself. Think not he hears the little prayers of those who call on him with names of idols cherished by the world. And we have a footnote that reads, "The little prayers of those who call on him with name of idols are your wandering thoughts during meditation. Thoughts about things of the world, about the tiny nameless things on earth, as shown in paragraph 5, line 2. By dwelling on these earthly things, you are essentially praying for them. If this is how you are inviting God during meditation, then He will not come in response because you are not asking for Him. That is why the above passage says that God does not hear these prayers." End of footnote. They could not reach Him thus. He could not hear requests that He be not Himself or that His Son receive another name than His. Paragraph 8. Repeat His name, and you acknowledge Him as sole creator of reality. And you acknowledge also that His Son is part of Him, creating in His name. Sit silently and let His name become the all-encompassing idea which holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one, and to all other thoughts respond with this, and see God's name replace 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts, not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all that there will be. Paragraph 9. Today you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gifts of grace. You can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. You can accept today the part you play in its salvation and your own as well, and both can be accomplished perfectly. Paragraph 10. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within it. Words are insignificant, and all requests unneeded when God's Son calls on His Father's name. His Father's thoughts become His own. He makes His claim to all His Father gave, is giving still, and will forever give. He calls on Him to let all things He thought He made be nameless now, and in their place the holy name of God becomes His judgment of their worthlessness. Paragraph 11. All little things are silent. Little sounds are soundless now. The little things of earth have disappeared. The universe consists of nothing but the Son of God who calls upon His Father. And His Father's voice gives answer in His Father's holy name. In this eternal, still relationship, in which communication far transcends all words and yet exceeds in depth and height whatever words could possibly convey, is peace eternal. In our Father's name, we would experience this peace today, and in His name it shall be given us. End of lesson 183. I call upon God's name and on my own. Enjoy your practice.